goodness, that was an over-the-top introduction. Thank you so much, Nathan Glubish. It is absolutely packed in here. Thank you so much to my United Conservative family in Edmonton for being here tonight to celebrate all that we have done in such a short period of time. And first off, I do want to just thank all the people on the leadership committee who put in so many months of hard work selling tickets and making tonight a success. I know they were introduced a little bit earlier by our president showing great leadership, Rob Smith, but I do want to send a special thank you to our co-chairs, Darren Dersling and Sonia Egisamu. Please give them a round of applause. Now tonight is our 8th leaders dinner so far this year, and we have a crowd tonight, I'm told, of 1,321 people. No kidding. Now, I'm told that Calgary had 1,350, but there's 30 people who wanted to buy tickets today and couldn't get them because we were sold out. So I call that a tie between Calgary and Edmonton. But in total, among these dinners, we've had 5,400 guests so far this year. It's amazing. And I may also just say, you might remember, it was 5 years ago today, I was reminded of this by our former president, Erica Barudis. 5 years ago today, on April 16, 2019, that the UCP won the general election, putting an end to the disastrous NDP government record. No kidding. We made bold moves to get our fiscal house in order, and we got Alberta back on track. And tonight we're making history again with our fundraising numbers, our record turnout, and events like these across the province so that we can make lives better for all Albertans. Now, as you know, it's also been almost a year since we turned the tide. We reversed what the polls were saying, and we performed our own little miracle on the prairie together, defeating the NDP in the election and ensuring a second united Conservative majority government. And my dear friends, it is because of the people in this very room that we were victorious. Now, I know we didn't win as many seats as we wanted to in Edmonton, but I do also know that we got 35% of the vote here, and in most places in the country, that is good enough to win a number of seats. Just ask our Prime Minister, who only got 32.6% of the overall vote. So Edmonton Conservatives do know we see you, and we'll get them next time, right? And together we knocked on thousands of doors, we raised millions of dollars in donations, often $20 at a time, and we reached everyone we possibly could, all in an effort to show Albertans why voting Conservative would keep our province on the right track. It is thanks to the commitment and passion of people like you that we managed to end 2023 with $1 million in the bank, and that doesn't even include our hardworking constituency associations, which probably have at least another 2 to 3 million. We'll know in the next couple of weeks. Meanwhile, it seems that the NDP, who do not have constituency associations, they closed the year with $624,000 in debt. Yeah. That, despite starting the year with almost twice what our party had in the bank. I can see they're running their party the way they used to run the government. And I do want to take you to take a moment to look around this room. Look at the people beside you, because I can say with complete confidence that this is a party that has truly come together to support one another, to achieve something greater, and to advocate for the values that we believe in. So thank you for doing that. Now, let's talk about those values for a moment, because that is what is at the very core of every Conservative. It's the reason why we are all here tonight. It's the reason why we go to AGMs. It's why we show up to put in the long hours to volunteer at election time. We all believe in something better for this province. And I'm incredibly honored to be your leader, and let me be clear that I take my direction from you, from the members. And this will always be your movement, and it will always be your party. As United Conservatives, we must never be afraid to stand up for what we believe to be right for Alberta. And our government is acting responsibly, defending the interests of everyone in this province, regardless of political stripe, and taking action on what's truly needed. Albertans are taking notice, and they're continuing to move in our direction. You may recall, here's one example, in February, I stood in the crosshairs of the Canadian media and the NDP, and I defended the future choices of young Albertans to make adult decisions when they're adults, so that they can preserve the right to have children of their own one day. As well as the inherent rights of loving parents to be the primary educators, caregivers, and decision makers over their children. Now, I do want to take a moment to talk about the work that we're doing in Edmonton, because we're doing a lot. For what seemed like decades, for some reason though, we Conservatives conceded the ground and allowed dangerous NDP policies to take root right here in Edmonton. Policies that would eventually poison our streets and lead to more hardships, including addiction for so many. I must tell you, Brandon Lunty, who is one of our new Edmonton area MLAs from Leduc-Beaumont, yeah? Now, he hasn't been in the legislature for very long, but he's got the guys on the other side figured out. He shared his formula for the NDP with us just recently in caucus. He said, here's the NDP formula. Number 1, they identify a problem. Number 2, they identify a solution that will make it worse. Number 3, they use fear and smear tactics to try to persuade the public that the ideas that we have are the wrong ones. And I'll give you an example. In the last election, the NDP solution was to double down on their reckless policies, suggesting more government-funded hard drugs should hit our communities. They call this safe supply. We don't believe on our side that there's anything such thing as a safe supply of heroin or any of its derivatives. And we have seen how these policies are working right next door in British Columbia. If you haven't had a chance to, in the legislature this week, I presented a column that was written by Adam Zivo. And let me tell you what he's discovered so-called harm reduction now means in British Columbia, now that they have legalized hard drugs. In the hospitals, the nurses are now complaining that they are required to pour alcohol and fill the crack and meth pipes of the addicts that are in hospital. They are also told that they are not allowed to seize any weapons or stop any drug dealers from coming and doing deals in the hospital room. There was one young nurse who just recently had a baby who was told to stop breastfeeding because she kept getting exposed to secondhand fentanyl smoke. That is what they are doing in British Columbia. The RCMP is now warning that government-funded hard drugs are making their way into the hands of organized criminals, coming across the border, and they're also ending up in the hands of our youth and poisoning them. Thankfully, the UCP offered a different path in this past election. We decided that we would offer hope to our neighbors and our friends and our family members who were suffering. We decided to get as many people as possible out of the cycle of addiction and onto the pathway of recovery. And that, my friends, that is the Alberta way. We take care of our own here. And now, doesn't that make you proud to be Albertan? Because for years, organized criminals and gangs have been preying on our most vulnerable. And often this has taken place in tent cities that have created pockets of crime and despair in many of our local communities. And our government took action, along with the great leadership of Edmonton Police Chief Dale McPhee, and we're continuing to restore order and provide pathways to support everyone who needs it. But we didn't just stop at removing encampments, and so far, the chief tells me we've removed over 700 of them. There's still about 28 left, but that's pretty darn good progress. But we also ensured shelter spaces are available to every single person who needs one. Our Seniors, Community and Social Services Minister, Jason Nixon, made sure that we increased those spaces to 1,800. And he tells me that on a typical night, there's only about 1,425 people in those beds, so we've got lots of shelter spaces. We've boosted funding to our partner agencies to provide more needed services. And importantly, we opened a new navigation support center pilot project right here in the heart of Edmonton. It's working so well, we are going to expand this model elsewhere. And I'll tell you why. Because in just a few short months, this navigation center has helped over 900 individuals reach nearly 3,000 referrals for service right there in the one-stop shop of our navigation support center, so people can get an ID. They can get connected to financial support services. They can get into treatment programs. They can get connected to emergency shelter spaces or transitional and supportive housing. They can get health care. The list goes on. And the stories that we have heard have been heartwarming and life-changing. Let me tell you one that the minister has told many times. There was a woman who came in, and she said that she wanted to be connected with her family. So they got her connected with her sister. It turns out that she had been on the missing and murdered Indigenous women list for 10 years. Her family didn't think that she was still alive. She got connected with her family. She's returned home. And we hope that she's on a pathway to permanent recovery. And there are hundreds of stories like this. So here in Edmonton and throughout Alberta, our government is focused on delivering what you need. Edmontonians want safe communities. They want to be able to walk to an Oilers game or take the transit to work without being harassed. That's why our UCP government has announced more boots on the ground, 50 new police officers in Edmonton to protect and serve communities that are being victimized by guns and gangs and violent offenders. This support is in addition to an initial investment over $8 million that has allowed EPS to expand and recruit its experienced officer training classes for 2024 and bolstered recruiting efforts to fill the classes with qualified candidates. We are committed to a safe and welcoming and thriving downtown Edmonton. And that's also why we invested $8.5 million in the expansion and renovation of the Winspear Centre here in the downtown core. As you know as well, any parent who has to go through the difficult process of having a sick child should never have to do this alone. The Stollery Children's Hospital is one of the world's premier hospitals, and that's why we committed to making it a standalone hospital to continue saving the lives of Alberta's children. We are refocusing other areas of healthcare so Albertans can have access to a primary care practitioner when and where they need it. And I'm told we're going to have much more to say on this very soon. We are continuing to find more doctors and nurses and healthcare workers to serve Edmonton and to reduce emergency wait times, to reduce the backlogs for surgeries so patients can get back to recovery sooner. And I'm also very excited to see Alberta Senior that we're taking Alberta Seniors care more seriously by moving people out of hospital beds where they shouldn't be. They should actually be into caring and dynamic communities where they can live their lives in dignity. We've also kept our promise to give our seniors a break by bringing in a 25% discount on personal registry services. It's anticipated this will benefit more than 725,000 seniors. In Budget 2024, we announced 43 new school projects across Alberta, creating 35,000 more modern and bright spaces for students. This includes 13 new schools in Edmonton alone. 5 are already getting built right now, with 5 more finishing designs and another 3 that are in the planning process. And as our province continues to grow, I want every parent to know how important it is to our team that we ensure that we have quality schools available to our students. And we're also investing in post-secondary education, like the MacEwan University's business school's expansion to 5,000 student seats in high-demand programs and planning funding for a new trades and technology learning facility in NAIT. We're very excited about those projects too. And of course, our UCP government will continue to demonstrate the power of good economic and energy policies to the world, including to our own Prime Minister, if we need to. We have to show the world how to create a powerhouse economy packed with jobs and opportunities, focused on a carbon-neutral future so we can continue delivering the healthcare and education, public safety and social programs that Albertans need without mortgaging our future with crushing debt and high taxes. You may have also seen today the federal budget came down, and I was asked my opinion on it. And I said, well, all we've been able to see out of the federal government is they've overspent, overtaxed, overborrowed, and are over-interfering in areas of provincial jurisdiction. Alberta does not need more punitive carbon taxes or emissions caps or electricity regulations proposed by Ottawa. These ideas simply don't work, and they make life more unaffordable and more difficult for everyone. And I have to tell you, Alberta's not alone on this. A majority of Canadian provinces and over 70% of Canadians now believe that it is time to put the brakes on the carbon tax. It is clear what we need is for Ottawa to get out of the way and allow the innovators of our major industries, especially in our world-class energy industry, to provide the solutions we need to reduce emissions and deliver energy security to the entire world. It is the eco-extreme, It is the eco-extreme agendas of people like Stephen Guilbeault. That happens every time I say his name. But people like Stephen Guilbeault who want to limit economic growth, create energy insecurity, raise prices for consumers, and make life just basically harder for literally everyone in Canada. These are failed policies. And as your Premier, I won't stop defending this province or our people or our rights as an equal part of Confederation. Now, I've said it before, and I'll say it again. We are not transitioning away from oil and gas. We are transitioning away from emissions. And I will say it again. I would like to see Alberta double our oil and natural gas output, and that is why I've been going to places like Texas and Washington and Dubai to promote new partnerships and businesses and alliances with governments to get the job done. And with your support, our UCP government will get the job done. We will hold firm to the knowledge that the world needs more Alberta energy and technology, not less of it. And we will intend to empower Albertans to deliver it. And hopefully, in the not so distant future, we will have a federal government that understands how to build this nation, support each region, respect the Constitution, and inspire us to reach our full potential. And until that day comes, we will not give Ottawa an inch or compromise our Alberta advantage for this generation or the next. You have my word on it. But my friends, let's stay humble and kind, but let's never stop fighting for what we believe in. We must continue showing every Albertan that nothing will hold this province back from its true potential. Let's keep this amazing miracle on the prairies, the story of Alberta, moving onward and upward for generations to come. And so, my dear United Conservative family in Edmonton this evening, let's make sure that Alberta remains forever strong and free.